Hey, good afternoon. I'm Rick Dancer. Welcome to Get Real with Rick Dancer. This is like a little special edition because we have some kind of potentially, I'm going to be really careful, but potentially some good news going on in our state. And I wanted to share that with anybody who's out there wondering what's going on. I'm excited about it, and I hope that you will be too. Now, again, this is just, we don't know for sure what's going to happen, but the governor did have a press conference today. And hold on, I'm just sharing this right over on my other page. Press conference, I listened to the whole thing while I was working out, and it sounds like starting tomorrow, people will be able to, counties will be able to apply to begin phase one of the reopening process. So what does that mean? At the press conference, it sounds to me like what it means is that each county turns in their information to see if they meet the standards that the governor's come up with. And then this team will decide. And so places could open up as early as next Friday, a week from tomorrow, if that happens. In the press conference, people were asking, what are the more rural counties more likely to be part of that? And she indicated, what I heard, she indicated, yes, that smaller counties probably were. So does that mean Linn County? We don't know. I did contact someone at the county. I don't want to out them because I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but this is a high-ranking official in Linn County, and they told me they're going to be watching it the rest of the day, but they're pretty sure that we will be able to meet the standards by next Friday. Sarah, what I noticed was, in the press conference, she did say gyms. So gyms would be, restaurants could open it back up. They'd have to have masks for the restaurant employees, fewer people sitting inside. It was barbershops, hair salons, gyms. But again, it's going to be social distancing, or physical distancing, and different standards for how many people can be in there at the same time. Hello, Sharon from Monroe. Who knows? And again, that doesn't mean Lane County or Linn County or, here's my head. More than likely, Douglas County is probably going to qualify, people like that. Lane County, from what I'm hearing and thinking, I think we should probably, from the standards. They have to have a certain number of people that can go out and do the tests. And there's some other standards like that. So it sounds like we're in the process. So she did indicate, though, that it would be harder for the larger counties because they have to hire it's hundreds of people that come in and do these tests and stuff to work on them. And I know Lane County's already been doing that. Hi, Sandy from Terrebonne, and working on that. And like I said, a top official in Lane County did indicate that they thought we should be ready by next Friday to be able to do that. So, what's that mean? Well, it means like Northwest Burger and Blue Valley Bistro and places like that. You could go in and we could sit down inside again and have food. It's also going to mean, but the governor indicated really carefully throughout the press conference that, this is a new Oregon. This is not, we're not going back to what we were for a while. And the one part that kind of concerns me, and I know I'll get some riprap on this, but if they see an uptick, they're going to watch each phase for 21 days. And if they see an uptick, they may have to do something different. Now, what's an uptick? Now, I know that, is that 10 people? Because here's the thing to me, is if you quarantine, an entire state for 2 months, and so we're not around any kind of viruses at all. When you take that quarantine off and we start being around other people again, it's unnatural not to be around bacteria and viruses all the time. So your body's not going to be used to it. So, we have to be prepared, I think, for an uptick. So my only question would be, is that going to, situation. Matt, what did they say? Did they say that they would, that we would be ready for that? Hi, Crystal Hackett. Hi, Rick. Thanks for simplifying this for us. Well, I'm a simple guy. So again, it's up to each individual county to turn in applications by tomorrow. And then the state will look at those and make sure that they have everything in place that they want to have that happen. And then she was really upfront about telling people it would be up to us to make sure that it works. And some of that we can't control because, like I said, when you take people and take them and quarantine them, and then you put them back out into public, we're going to be back around germs. And so you're going to see some kind of uptake, I would think. And I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really, that's why they're probably being so careful, because once you take us off lockdown or whatever it is that we're on right now, if you try to put us back on, it's going to be really ugly. I struggle with having to fill out an application. Feels like begging to go back to normal. Yeah, I know, Steve. There's a lot of stuff about this that I struggle with, but I'm going to stick to the positive, and this is good news if we are going back that direction. They also said they don't want people, let's say Harney County opens up and Lane County doesn't. They don't want all of us from Lane County traveling over to Harney County so we can go to a restaurant. Sounds like they are really looking to open up, but focusing on doing it strategically. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I'm just being careful. Yeah, in principle, it makes sense, but the term should be defined. I agree, Steve. It does. It was a percentage. I don't know what you're talking about, Sharon. Explain more. I listened to the whole thing. I don't know in terms of percentage what you're talking about, but you can clarify that for us. That'd be awesome. Hey, Jason, this is nice, although damage is already felt throughout. How long do you feel it will take the economy to get back to normal? Jason, I think it's going to take a long time. I was talking to a friend of mine who owns a restaurant in town, and we were saying what's probably I think is going to happen, and I'm not an economist, I'm just a guy who's been around a long time. I think what will happen is people get excited, they'll go out, business will go back up to about 75% for people for a while, maybe a month. And then we're all going to realize that our PPPs aren't in yet. Maybe we don't have our stimulus check, and we have to tighten our belts because we can't spend that much money because we've lost a ton of money. And I think then it'll go back down to about 50% for a while. And I think that's going to be a new normal for a while. I think we're using too much antibacterial product will affect that too. I don't use any antibacterial product. I think that's horse crap to use it. I want my body to be around germs so that I can fight it off. Your body naturally needs to be around germs and viruses in order to fight them off. But that's a whole nother story. We're trying to stay positive, people. They talked about a phasing plan, like you said. It's just making sure they don't open the floodgates and say that it's safe for all, because you have to be careful about the most vulnerable while not punishing 100% of the people. Right. So that's what they're going to. It's going to be physical distancing. It's going to be. They want you to wear masks. I can't remember the other thing, but it's going to be doing washing your hands. It's doing the things that we've been doing, but trying to open up a little bit. And then when restaurants are, it's going to be like Costco. There'll still be a line. Casey Kaufman, years. I 100% agree. I think we're going to see, the uptick is a percentage. Thank you, Cher. Thank you. Yeah. But I don't remember the percent. It just, those things always, as a former news guy, when a politician says stuff like that, I get real hesitant, and that'll never change. I know there's people that go, God, Rick, you're always questioning everything. I was a reporter for 30 years. I'm going to question everything. I wish the reporters today would question more and ask hard questions instead of little softball pussy shit. I mean, they need to ask really hard questions. Tom, and each Oregonian will need to submit an application to work again. Living a life of freedom is not. I don't think that's true, Tom. I don't think they have to submit an application to work again. I don't know what you're talking about. The hair salons and barbershops, they do have to keep your name, like get your name and contact information to see in case somebody comes in and says they have it, so they could contact you and let you know. I don't think that's a bad idea. I just like that there is a plan of some kind, but such a cluster of, well, see how things go, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'll tell you this, Matt. Today is the first time I've heard anything out of the governor and them that was anything close to a plan that related to business that said, here's where we're kind of headed. That should have been done a month ago. so that we weren't all just hanging in limbo. But we're staying positive, and we have it now. So that's what we're going to focus on. We're not going to get all bitchy and crabby. Don't get me started on hand sanitizer. Here's the thing about hand sanitizers, and people were using these antibacterials. This isn't a bacteria, it's a virus. So they're washing with Perel and it's not doing anything. Soap and water, hot water for 20 seconds will kill it. Or I keep Heritage's alcohol in my truck in a spray bottle, and every time I get back in my truck, rub, 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 go in the store, come back, squirt, 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 and that's what I do. And I'm not paranoid about it. I'm not afraid. This is not what I'm not afraid. And that's not to brag. It just means I see the world differently. So I'm not gonna panic. I've had cancer. I've already done this. I had H1N1 back in 2009. It was horrible and it was painful. A real reporter does ask questions. A real reporter, Victoria, exactly, asks hard questions. And we don't have that much anymore. This is scary considering that several MDs have said the tests are 80% faulty, so they can uptick based on faulty information. You can say those things. That's good. I'm trying to stay, and that's not being positive, Rachel. I understand. We need it. You're asking hard questions, and that's good. But that's the problem, is what's the standard for an uptick? And that's what I didn't hear. And Cher says there's a percentage, but I didn't hear it. So, and that doesn't mean it didn't happen. Exactly. We need to be proactive, and hopefully we learn from this that, if this comes back in the fall, that we need to, before we react, we need to plan. Fine with social distancing, but we need to get back to work. We need to stop living in fear because Kate Brown says so. Sarah, only thing can I correct you on? I'm not fine with social distancing at all. I'm fine with physical distancing, but I will never social distance. I'm sorry. People, community, God made us to live in it. So this is social interaction, but you and I are physically distant. I will do that, but I will not socially distance from people in my life. And we do need to stop living in fear. Exactly. I agree with you 100%. Sterling Williams. First of all, Sterling, I love that name. With my hair color, I wish I was Sterling Dancer. I think that would be such an awesome name. I think all the protests are hopefully getting her to wake up to people that are saying open in Oregon. Yeah, I think that's obviously having an impact to me. It's, no one's ever going to win that argument. It's always going to be, we did this and it helped, where some people are going to say we didn't need to do this and it would have still been the same. That's going to be a debate that goes on for decades. And probably in 20 years, we'll know the truth. The hospitals in Eugene are slow. Not many cases in Eugene. I don't think we have one case in the hospital in Lane County, to my understanding. And I think they said something about that today. In fact, I don't think there's any in the state right now with COVID-19. I think that's what she said at the press conference. I'd say don't quote me, but you will. But I think that's what I heard. I was listening to it before I took a shower. Then it goes, blah, 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 blah. I didn't hear that part. I have used your physical distance to communicate many times. We are all still being social. You know what, Beth, what's funny is the governor's using it now. She's calling it physical distancing. So I'm sure she didn't get it from me. But yeah, they're starting to change their language too, because they realize how stupid social distancing sounds. Just watch Dr. Zach Bush and MD talk about Del Wire. Really good information. All right, Sterling, thank you. And here's Steve. No crowds at sporting events, though. Yeah. And she said that probably most of the county fairs, any kind of summer events, the Junction City Scandy Festival, the state fair probably would all end up being canceled. They said they might be able to do some of the events like at a fair, but differently. So I don't know what that means, but we'll see. There's just over 30 cases at a frozen food plant in Albany. Yeah, that was a couple of days. I mean, it's been adding up, but it's because they're all working close together. And that's what they need to stop. Anyone know when churches will be allowed to meet? I think it's groups up to 25 once you meet the standard in the county. So not now, but after, if let's say Lane County applies and gets it, then I think after next Friday, groups of 25 could get together. So maybe your church could do like home churches or something, or little cluster groups. As you know, I don't like using the word fear. Taking precautions and being concerned for the safety of others is not fear. Jennifer, thank you. I know, I understand. I think there's a different, I think what you're talking about is different. When I say fear, I mean it kind of, I think I mean it different than that, honestly, but you're making me think. But I think I mean that different than that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on the news that's just, when I hear a commercial on the radio and the person says, "Did you kill someone today?" That's fear. That's just putting fear into people instead of giving me education. And that I still want to know who did that commercial, because if I paid for that as a taxpayer, I want my money back. Because I think that kind of fear gets people riled more than they need to be. Amen. And I agree about physical distancing. Social distancing seems to cause more division between people. I don't think people realize how much this has affected our children. I don't think we realize how much it's affected us. I mean, people are so nasty online right now. I mean, unbelievable. I did a story yesterday. I had the test done for COVID-19 antibodies to see if I have them. So I have a client, any lab test now, they're doing the test now. So I paid a rate, and she did the test. So we go into the office and I interview all the people live, and I don't have people wear masks. If they're uncomfortable and they want to, they can, but you can't hear them talk. So you're doing a communication thing. And even the governor today said, she didn't wear a mask in the meeting to talk, because somebody asked her, "Why don't you have a mask on?" Because you can't understand people when they have a mask on, especially when it's communicating valuable information. That's just stupid. And so I don't tell anybody they can't wear a mask, but when they are talking, most of my clients don't wear a mask when they're talking, and I'm around them. So we're 6 feet and we're doing our thing. But when the girl that works there went to draw my blood, she's getting closer. So she had gloves on and a mask. And I had 3 or 4 people come on and just lambast me. "Why isn't she wearing a mask? Why isn't everybody in there wearing a mask?" Well, because that's not how it works with my job. And it's like, God, I mean, it's just the little stuff like that, you know what? And wearing a mask is still a choice for people. And I think people just need to stop shaming people. And it bugs the hell out of me, but that's my personal thing. Sarah, so how will they monitor physical distancing in, say, gyms? I don't know, Sarah. That's going to be really interesting, because maybe it's like, I think it's going to be up to gym owners to kind of, and us. It's like, I don't want to not get to go to the gym again. So if they set up, some gyms I've seen where they have little sections. And so you go to your section and somebody goes to their section and do that. I'm in a fairly small gym that's not super busy all the time, so that might not be as hard. But if you're like at a Planet Fitness or Pursue Fitness, it might be a little bit interesting. But it's going to have to, we're going to have to figure it out, because we don't want them to close it down again. And it makes me so, I feel like such, it's a whole other topic. I don't want to get there, but yeah. Okay. Well, I'll just leave it. I'm going to go. Chris, COVID symptoms versus allergies. Yeah, I have terrible allergies right now. Wake up and have to take a pill, have a headache at night. Get up in the morning, I'm coughing up phlegm. I know, too much information. Coughing up phlegm as I run. That's why I run, because I spit all that shit out so I can breathe the rest of the day. I'm on steroids. So yeah, but I don't feel, I know allergies. I've had them my whole life, so I know exactly this is an allergy. But yeah, I don't know. And they say that still, I don't know, maybe my statistics are wrong, but I still think a huge percentage of people have this, don't just get sick, or they don't even know they have it. And so it's just a smaller fraction that get really, really sick. But when they get it, they get really, really sick. When I had H1N1, and it was horrible. I mean, I just felt like I was going to die. It was not good. I had to go to the emergency room, and that's what's so funny. I went to the emergency room. I sat in the lobby. I went in. They said, "I think you might have H1N1." They did the test, said, "Yeah, you do." I sent me off my way, said, "Go home, get better," and nothing else. It wasn't like I was quarantined or anything. And maybe it's not as serious. I don't know, but it's funny what a few years will do. I wonder how they will do the distancing thing at the casinos when they open. Probably just fewer tables, or only one person can go up at a table. I'm not a gambler, so I don't really know how that works, but I would think that would be easy. You could do that. This is a hopeful sign, and with luck, it will bear fruit. It's on the counties now to show plans and get moving. And yeah, and I'm sure they all are, because I know especially the smaller counties are ready to go. And I'm sure they all knew. She's been talking to, she said in the press conference that the governor said she's been talking with counties and telling them what they need to do. And then Matt Kendall said that our county leader was on the other day on the chamber, had a thing, and he was talking about it. And when my contact that I contacted today said, whereas we may not be ready right now, by next Friday, that we should. How long can the governor keep us locked down? I don't know, Susie. But we're focusing on positives here. When this is all over, then we're going to have a big debate about what happened and why it happened and all of that. I'm sure. And it's going to go on for a long time. But we do need to get behind what just happened here. What was that? But let's focus today on the fact that we're getting closer to opening up, and that's a positive sign, and we should be happy about that. Yeah. Matt, is the antibodies test available to anyone from any lab? Yeah, I did it. Yeah, anybody can go in. They have a doctor there. You have to call in ahead of time. They ask you questions like, do you have a fever? Do you have this? They don't want anybody with COVID coming in there. So they ask you all these questions, and then you make an appointment. So it's appointment only. And then you go in and by yourself. There's no one else in the place except for the people that work there. And they take you into a room and they will draw blood. And then they put it in a little machine that goes like this. And then they ship it overnight to Portland. It's tested, and then I should know within 48 to 72 hours if I have the antibody. I hope that I do. I think that would be great, because then I can just put a sign on, I have the antibody, leave me alone. Shut up, I have it. I seriously would. I'd put a big bag on my head and say, I have the antibody, you don't have to worry. Scotch broom is horrible over here and around floors. It's here too, Tina. I hate Scotch broom is just like a horrible thing. It really gets me going. As long as she wants. Yeah, there's another topic. I couldn't find it on the website. Call in. Yeah. Just call in, Matt, and ask them. It's $199, and just ask them, and you just set up an appointment. Just tell them you're a friend of mine. I mean, but just tell them, because they'll treat you nicer. So Albert, the good news is that all the counties in Oregon can apply to the state starting tomorrow to look at reopening. And what the first phase of reopening would start on the 15th, which is the following Friday. And nobody knows which counties will get in and out or what, but they have to prove these certain things, that they're ready to do some testing and that kind of stuff like that. But it appears that Lane County probably would be ready. And that means that bars and restaurants, hairdressers, barbers, things like that could reopen under strict guidelines. Masks have to be worn by all employees, things like that. Hi, Rick, you're talking very fast. Unfortunately, as a Hungarian, they found it difficult to understand you. We have the same problems in Hungary. Maria, I didn't know that I had a Hungarian audience. So I will speak. I tend to talk really fast. It's kind of an Oregon thing. And for me, it's being on the news. I got lots to say. I'll try. Denise, I hope they consider population density. Florence is ready to reopen. Yes, I'm a salon owner and fully ready to see clients. And I think for salons, it'd be like one at a time. You'd have to have one at a time come in. I think there's a lot of people ready to get to the salon. I kind of had a little jokey thing this morning. I was going, guy, you can go to the dentist where dentists can get into your mouth with spit, but you can't go to the hairdresser. And, and of course, even that turned into like a controversy. Oh my God. Just get I beat COVID woven into your tattoo. Never. This is a memory I don't want to think about again. Um, and it's not that it's been, there's been a lot of good things that I want to think about that came out of this, like with my wife and me, and new business opportunities like this, different things like that that have come up. So I want to try to look at the positive, but if I'm just going to be super honest, and this will bring critics after me, but oh well. What concerns me the most out of all of this is the ease with which we are willing to give up our freedom. And I know some people say, well, what, you want people to die? No, that's just stupid. Of course I don't want people to die. But once you give up freedom, it's really hard to get it back. And I think we're going to see that. And that bugs the hell out of me. And that's the residual of COVID-19 that will, it will bug me for for a long, long time, and how quickly it turned us against one another, and how quickly we started calling each other names, or because they didn't see you wearing a mask, it's staring at you like that. How nasty we became to each other because we thought we knew more than everybody else. It's kind of like being in church for me. All the information, people throwing this statistic and that statistic at you. This is like a Bible verse. I can make anything say what I want it to say. And the ease with which many people bullied will stick with me for a long time. And I just I'm just being honest. And maybe you don't agree with me. That's fine. But the good things that came out of this, I've seen so many amazing people in our community, and people taking care of each other, and people that are really concerned about businesses. I was at a program yesterday at the Positive Community Kitchen. Oh my God, do you know what these people do? Elements Health Club sponsored this show. I had no idea what they did. And I got there, and that I heard they make meals for people who are terminally ill, healthy meals, and they give them to them for 12 weeks so that they hopefully get better, but also that they learn eating better does good things for them. Yeah, I heard that too, Suzette. So here's a positive thing in our community. How cool is that? And I had tears in my eyes because I'm talking to this lady whose husband was just diagnosed with serious cancer. And here's these people taking care of him because they believe in good food. I mean, that's amazing. I have a story from Monday, but I can't tell you what it is because other media outlets watch this and I don't want them there. That has to do with this little kid and a Make-A-Wish thing. And he's getting his dream. The Buck Stops Here is going to be Monday live. And this kid has no idea. You're going to cry. Another one, Priority One Heating and Air Conditioning calls me the other day. We did a show. They're doing, if you buy a $20 gift card from any place, like your salon, your barber, a restaurant, heating, whatever, you buy a $20 gift card to someplace, bring the receipt back, you go on their website, show them the proof that they did that, they're going to buy you another $20 gift card that you can either keep or give to somebody else. And they're doing 500 of them. After our show, they got 100 people called up after the show and got them. So go to their page and find that information. In fact, I think I still have it on here. Yeah, right there. That's how you do it. Just go to their Facebook, it's Priority One Heating and Air Conditioning, like the page, and then go spend $20. You got to buy a card from your hairdresser or your barber. Has to be in Eugene or Springfield because they have to drive around and get all these things, and they don't want to go everywhere. So that's the one thing you have to do. What am I doing here? Banners, comments. There I am. Stuart Fowler. How do we encourage someone who will lose their business and income because of how this has been handled? I don't know, Stuart. Yeah. I don't know how you encourage. How do you encourage people who've lost their life savings? How do you encourage people? There's a lot of different kind of deaths that happen with something like this, and I think a lot of times we forget about the emotional death. We forget about the business death, the dream death. And I think there's a lot of people that just can poo-poo that. But my good friend who's on here, Jennifer Knapp, um, and she put it one day, and I'm not going to be able to quote it exactly, and I'm going to use a swear word, so it's going to be uncomfortable for some of you. But we were talking, and so she has, and she'll fine with me doing this. I'm sure she has a person in her family who has an illness that could be could just die if she got this disease. I mean, it's very dangerous for them. And so when somebody says, well, what about my business, blah, 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 what that translates to someone like her is, so your business is more important than my daughter's life. You don't give a fuck about my daughter. And then she wrote this to me because she helped me figure this out. So then Jennifer writes to me and she says, and for you, when I say to somebody that, my business could go away, I could lose all my clients. And then I'm 60 years old and I got no way to make a living. And so what that says to me when somebody says, well, but we've had 2 deaths in Lane County and we need to protect those people. And I'm thinking, so you don't give a fuck about my business. And that's the 2 edges right there, is we all come from different places. And we come from different stories and backgrounds, and we have different concerns. But if we don't talk about that, then it becomes this us and them. And Jennifer and I have been able to put that into just the sweetest little relationship and friendship, because she identified for me what I was feeling. It does feel like nobody gives a shit about the business community, because I'm in the business community, and I watch people and my clients and wonder what's going to happen to me and Kathy too. But Jennifer is looking at her family member and saying, if somebody doesn't do this, or somebody with the COVID gets around me, or somebody that I know, and she gets this, she could die. So how do we put those 2 together? I'm just thinking about the judgment among people and the stink I get for sneezing in public. Even when sneezing responsibly, will the sneeze get you kicked out mid-beer or mid-haircut? So have you heard that saying that I used to sneeze to cover my fart, now I fart to cover my sneeze? So if you sneeze, you need to fart. Chris, I'm just trying to be light on this. I know. But I get scared. Somebody sneezed in the plate around me the other day, and I went, man, I walked the other way fast. A lot of anger has come out of a lot of people. Yeah. And Tina, I think that comes from frustration. Plus, there's some of us who are just kind of obnoxious, and I don't like to be told what to do. And I live in a country where I'm not supposed to be told what to do. And I'm one of those people who I think for the most part, will choose the right thing. But then people say, well, most people aren't choosing the right thing. Well, I'm looking around going, maybe your right thing is higher on the level of right things than my right thing. I don't know. And that's where, so we've lost some of that. I don't know. And that's my personal opinion. But I have a friend who was one of the people that went to the beach when then everybody was going, how come people are going, you all running to the beach? They didn't go to any restaurants or anything like that. They went to the beach to walk on the beach. They weren't around any other people. And then everybody's making comments about their pictures of them on the beach. Well, did you ask any questions about what did you do when you were down there? Going to the dentist is not going to be that easy. Requirements to operate are very costly and only able to operate on very limited capacity. Yeah, I'll just bag the dentist for a while. We gave up too easily. I agree with you. I think I think there's something to that. You betcha. You're a good man. I'm glad you're doing what you do, and I enjoy it and love your laugh. Oh, Case, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I love, here's my friend Jennifer. Name calling and bullying of those with different points of view has been going on for a long time. True, I grew up with that. That's why I don't like it. But I agree, it's gotten worse now. The positives keep me from losing hope in humanity, but I love to see more. Yeah, I'm trying to focus really hard. I'm trying really hard. Yeah, I think that's really hard. So that's why today I wanted to come on here and do this, because I've been I'm pretty critical of the governor, because there's a lot of things she's done that I do not agree with. And there's some stuff that later I would talk about. But today she did something that made me happy and hopeful. And so if we're going to criticize people when they do things that we find wrong, when they do things we find right, I think we need to compliment and we need to bring out so that we can all have a little bit of hope. Do I think this is the end all cure all? Do I think more bad shit's going to come? Probably. But I'm not going to live my life that way. I can only speak for myself, but any freedoms I have given up temporarily were thought over countless times not easy at all. Of course, none of this is wishing everyone the best possible pathway. Thanks, Rose. I agree. It's kind of a individual thing that way, I guess. In a country where every other neighbor has an arsenal of weapons, not worried about losing freedom, some folks cannot be convinced of anything past personal wants and will do what it takes to defend that, including saying no to government control over them. We got folks getting armed over haircuts. Stay safe. You know, I just found other ways to get things done that I need to get done. So now we need nose plugs as well. New requirement. To put up with the bullshit, we have to have nose plugs on top of that. Oh my God. You are, I know. Thanks, Jennifer. That's a hug. I feel I'm losing control over my own life. Susie, there's times I do, but then there's time I don't know. I think, how would I say that? I agree with that feeling. I know what you mean. I don't, when you are unable to do this because of this or this or this, and you don't agree with it, it's really hard. And culture doesn't either. And it's kind of on this, there's this wave going and you're coming the other direction. And that's a really tough place to be. But you know what I think, for me, what I do? So if the wave's coming like this, the best thing to do when a wave's coming and you're surfing and you're not going to go into the wave, go under the wave. So I just dive. And sometimes I'm just silent and people don't know what I'm doing. And they don't need to know what I'm doing. So instead of having to be right, I just do what I need to do. And sometimes that means I take a deep dive and go under the current. And it's dangerous, but that's how I live. One good thing that has come out of this, I put gas in my car for the first time in a month. I know, isn't that funny? It's really cheap right now. Earplugs too. Sean says earplugs too, Jennifer. The farts. Yeah. Have you ever heard of confirmation bias? We are driven by one of the most powerful and disconnecting forces in human nature, confirmation bias. Our brains crave information consistent with what we already believe. We seek out the focus of facts that support our beliefs. More worrisome when we are trapped in confirmation bias. We may not consciously perceive facts that challenge us, that are inconsistent with what we have already concluded. We simply cannot change our minds. Wow. Yeah, I have heard of that, but that is a really great way to put that out there. And I think that's our culture right now. You know, it's kind of like trying to figure out a way I can talk about this without being really direct about that. Well, you know, and here's one that I can pick on because it's easy for me. It's kind of like religion and church stuff. People are so ingrained. So this is what I've always known. This is what I've always thought. So it has to be true. And then when you come in with a different thing and say, well, wait a minute, that's really not what in my belief system, that's not what God said. He didn't say that. And Pastor Billy did, but God didn't. And so all of a sudden that becomes law because of the doctrine that we are ready to say. And that's the same with culture stuff. It's the Democrats and Republicans. You know, they each have their side And yet there's this, what the hope is for me, there's this growing segment of the population in the middle. And we're not buying it anymore. We've seen too much. And so we are not buying that anymore. And honestly, you guys, what it really takes is being involved civically. And I know there's a lot of bullshit in politics, but you have to vote. And don't just vote. If you have a bumper sticker on your car that says, I vote Democrat or I vote Republican, all that says is I'm ignorant. If that's how you vote, that's why we're where we're at today. Vote for find out what people are about and vote for people that represent what you think or what you think is best for our culture. Looking at the wording of the Oregon Constitution, I don't think this lockdown is even legal. She can't expand ration. I know. We're all going to have questions about that. And I put that up there, Stephen, so you can get that on there and people can see it. I'm just going to kind of stay away from that today because I'm trying to be on a positive thing. Thank you. I will dive now. You make a difference. All right, Susie. So do you. We all do. We just have to understand that. I agree. And the way to get around it is to purposely engage and talk with others with a different bias, like I've done with Rick Dancer and others willing to engage with me without insulting. And see what Jennifer and I do. So I had a kid, I don't think he's on here right now, so that's good. He'll find it. He screams stuff at me, and now he wants to meet with me. And I'm using Jennifer and my friendship as a tool to kind of understand what I want from this, because he wants to meet really badly. So one times it's, you're an idiot and you're arrogant and all this kind of stuff. But the next time I respect you. So I'm not sure. So I have trust issues now. So he says, I really want to meet with you and talk about these issues. So I said, well, I thought about Jennifer. And I thought, no, I'm not going to talk to you about any issues till we have some trust built up. And so we're going to talk about our life. We're going to have a relationship. And then from that relationship, I will determine whether I want to share any of my personal views with you. And I think that's how you do this. We have to, and Jennifer and I do that. So we're coming from two different places on this issue in a lot of respects and on other things in culture. But you know what? It's too late because we already love each other. Because there's these other things that are way more important than that, like people and sick people and people who are disenfranchised and people who are overlooked. These are things that we both have a passion and a drive for. And so that connects us. So then all this, that's the glue that creates the love. And so then when all this other stuff comes up, we're able to just step over it and discuss it. And she is helping me kind of understand my own feelings about it. And that's what a perfect thing happens. My family has a beach cabin at the coast, and put up some posts. It's a long story, but we were getting blasted yesterday on some environmental site. And one of them was a guy that I know, and he didn't know it was my house that he was picking on. So I wrote on there, by the way, if you guys want to, instead of just telling us that these rich Californians have bought up this beach property and are now putting up some posts for a fence, perhaps you need to let me explain to you what's going on. First of all, my family are Oregonians, and we purchased that 60 years ago. So we're part of the history of Pacific City. We've had that house. I want the beach to be open for everybody. I would never want to live in a state where a beach was closed. But we do own a little section out in front, and the state of Oregon is forcing us to, if we want to remove the sand so it's not on our house, we have to plant dune grass. So in order for the dune grass to have a chance to grow, we have to put up a fence so that the people that just walk through our property won't walk on it and destroy the $2,000 investment that we're making on this property. Did any of you people on this site bother to call the homeowners and ask what the fuck you're doing? No. All you did was go on there and start talking about the rich Californians who are buying up the Oregon coast, and now they want to put up a fence. And everybody was just, their balls were lit on fire and they were just going. And then when I went in and wrote that, it was like taking a big knife and going, sucked all the air out of them. But why don't we ask questions before we make accusations? That's just, if you have a problem with somebody, go talk to them. Don't go to the boss behind their back. My daughter got sick with leukemia at 8 and 5 years until she was in remission. I lost control of my life. I don't feel so much that way has made me feel that I've lost control of my life. At 66 and retired, not much has changed in my life. I really miss physical hugs. See, I think, Goldie, I understand that. I'm 60, but I'm a cancer survivor. So when people were getting very afraid from this virus and stuff, it wasn't bothering me. So I had to kind of do some soul searching, and I'm going, oh, it's because I've already done this. I already went to the doctor and went, I'm scared to death. And so this didn't frighten me. And it doesn't mean I didn't take it seriously. And some people are going, well, you're not taking it seriously. And I'm going, no, I'm taking it seriously, but it doesn't scare me. And it still doesn't. Because I'm not as afraid to die as I used to be. Because I know I'm gonna. If somebody hasn't survived a potentially terminal illness, then they know they're gonna die. But those of us who have been diagnosed with cancer or adrenal insufficiency or something like that, we know it a little bit better than you do. And we have to deal with that. Every year I have to go back and have a test to find out, is it back? So I deal with that like you do all the time. I so agree with Jennifer Knapp and your thoughts on this comment. So we'll see, you had some great comments as well. Exchanging perspective doesn't have to be an argument. Then you don't live in Oregon. My dad was a speech teacher, and he was a negotiator for the Oregon Education Association. So I grew up with, you went to battle for your position, and then when it was over, it was done. And my dad used to argue with the school boards for teachers, and all this. Then afterwards, they'd all go out and have dinner together. But today, if you disagree with me, you're my enemy, and that just doesn't work anymore. And we need to make sure it doesn't work. You may have made me rethink a lot of things. I'm on the Pacific City site, and they're really mean to people that don't actually live on the coast where they've been an Oregonian like myself and you. Exactly. You get it, Rick. Sorry that you were treated about your house. No, Goldie, it's fine. You know what I mean? I know who I am, and I know my part in that community. And it is frustrating when you see I'm looking at the picture going, well, that's my house. These people are talking about me. But see, honestly, if I'm really honest about it, I love that shit. I love calling people out when they're blah, 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 blah. I say, okay, it's me. And then this lady goes on, that should have never happened. I said, yeah, that's easy for you to say because you don't have a house on the beach. I would never want a house on the ocean front again. My parents bought this when I was 10. And it's been a wonderful place for our family, but I would never own a home on that. You know how much maintenance is done with that, and the sand, and it destroys everything. How many times we put new siding on it, new windows because they get rusty. I mean, it's a horrible thing. But what are you going to do? Then you get to go tell people that they're bad people because they've been there 60 years, and you show up 2 years ago, and all of a sudden this is what happens in Oregon a lot too. People come from other places and they think, oh, I love this state, and then they start saying, clear cutting and logging is bad. Well, guess what? That's part of our financial heritage. It's part of our culture. It's part of who we are. You may not understand it, you may not like it, but you don't get to come into our neighborhood and tell us what we don't do anymore. If you don't like it, then go to a state that doesn't do clear cutting and doesn't do logging. Go to Georgia or whatever the hell it would be, Texas. I don't know. But you can't go into places like that and then all of a sudden be the moral majority. And because your ideas are different than ours, you go into a new neighborhood and you find people. So I got a hold of this Goldie, this group that it ended up on. I called the guy and I'm, ripping him one, and then he starts talking to me, and all the big story out of it, he and I are going to work together. I'm going to try to figure out where he's so excited to have met a homeowner who's willing to sit there and go, we'll take the fence posts out, but you guys have to help us. Well, he goes, we really don't want you moving the sand. I said, well, we have to move the sand. So now we need to come up with a compromise on how I can do what I need to do to protect my house, and you can get what you need. And he goes, I will. No, so now the state parks department is calling me. So, so from a bad thing, I love building relationships like that. And he does too. So all of a sudden now I got this friend, and we totally disagree on where they want to go. And he keeps telling me that. He goes, Rick, we're going to disagree on this. I said, I know, and I'm going to disagree with you. But we also, what do we think? We think that the state requiring me to plant dune grass when we've done it before to stabilize the sand and it doesn't work, This is stupid. And they're only doing it. He goes, exactly. So see, we found a place where we agree, and now we're going to branch out from that. That's how you do this. You find common ground, and then you don't have to give up your position or give up your life, but you start making compromise and start finding out that, oh yeah, we have these things that we can work together on. And so this all happened yesterday. It was so cool. So he emailed me this morning, said, Rick, I got the state parks department. They're going to call you. If you're willing to do some things, they're willing to do some things. And I'm kind of excited about it, because I'm going to have to give some stuff up. But maybe it's going to be better in the long run for everybody and for us as well as property owners down there. So yeah, people on the coast, it's interesting at Pacific City because our house is right there. We live 3 doors down from the pub, our house is, and people walk right past our windows in between houses. They respect nothing about private property rights. They walk. I live in the country. So when I get up in the morning, this is too much information, but I'm just telling you what it is. I don't wear anything. So I'm walking around my house naked, but I live in the country. So nobody's, and if they come close enough to my house to see me, then they deserve to see me. but when I go to the beach, I get up in the morning, I have no clothes on, I'm downstairs, and people are walking past my window, my private property window. And I had these 2 ladies one day, and they looked over, and I'm 100% naked. And they let out a little scream, and the window was open. It was summertime. And I said, well, maybe you shouldn't be walking on private property. This is what happens when you go snooping around people's houses. But no respect for other people's property. They park in our driveway. They park we have signs that say no parking, and they park right in your driveway where your car is supposed to go when you come back. So I get that. I live in Walport, and transplants here are bad. California, Montana, Idaho, and other places trying to change the small town and its people. Our local community sites are horrible. Yeah. Oregon coast has gotten really bad, really, really bad. But you guys, I have I'm doing a podcast with a guy out of Seattle at 2:00 today. So I'm going to end this, but thank you so much for this great conversation. Thank you for participating. Thanks for your involvement, your love of Oregon. Your love of people, and don't let them get you down. We are really truly in this together, but we're all doing it differently. And so maybe when you go out and and you're, my mom used to say to me, Ricky, just mind your own business. And maybe that's what we need to do. When you go out, if somebody's not doing the thing you think they should do, just mind your own business. If somebody is really afraid, mind your own business. Maybe they have things in their past or their lives that make them afraid. It's none of your business. But you can show compassion and kindness and consideration, and just stop fighting. Confirmation bias. You're going to, people are going to come on here and blah, 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 all they do. We live in woods, and Ben does the same thing, right? Just because we're on the edge of the woods, naked at home is okay. I ride my bike through woods. So Goldie, I'm going to be down there next Thursday, not today, obviously. Next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to be down at our house. We're like 3 doors down from the pub. We got to do it's our turn. We're going to go do some work down there. Going to go down there, and hopefully things are going to open up on Friday, and I can actually go have a beer at the Pelican Pub or the Sporty. The Sporty is my favorite place because they have inexpensive beer, and the Pelican Pub is way overpriced. But I love our bartender in there. He's a super nice guy. Thank you. You should be a life coach. I am Jamie, thank you. I appreciate that. I would not want to be someone else's life coach because I have enough trouble trying to coach my own. I have my own business coach, and we love her. And the reason I am the way I am is because of a lot of people in my life. And she's one of them. We are hoping to go down there and see the door is locked. We love to do that. Oh my God. I smile. Good afternoon goes a long way, or at least a way. Hey, Ricky, good to see you. All right. You guys have a good day. I really do have to go. I gotta I don't even know what these people are asking me. You guys don't even know some of the shit I do. I get calls from all over the country and they want me to come on and they're just talking about stuff. It's not even politics or anything. It's just like life. And so I do it. It's like whatever. Okay, a little bit late. As an artist that does art shows and events, it's going to be scary out there for a possible exposure. Every person entering my booth is exposing me. Yeah. You can pack up and build a home. Don't enjoy it not working. But yeah, we all got to do what we got to do. Well, Deborah, go back and you can watch the rest of the whole thing on the conversations and stuff. And you guys, if you want to share it, because we do have some good news, so you can share this if you want. You don't have to. It's up to you. But you should go find out more about the Positive Community Kitchen. And they're doing a $60 package. You can buy a $60 packet for yourself of these are meals, 10 meals. And if you do that, they'll do another $60 one and give it to a family who has a terminally ill patient in their home. So that's a really cool thing. And lots of stuff going on. Lots of people giving. All right. Thank you.